Happy Halloween, everybody! How's everyone doing today? I hope it's good. We have an extra special episode of WhickTV in the making. I, your Capitan Wick, will be hosting the spookiest, the scariest, the craziest Halloween episode you've ever seen of WhickTV, because it's the only Halloween episode you will ever see of WhickTV. I have dressed up in my costume, and I am excited to introduce my guests. We got some more people coming. We'll be rotating people in and out as we go. But if you're sitting at home and you're like, hey, man, I don't want to go out today. I want to stay in. I want to celebrate Halloween. And you have a costume. Come on in. Just jump backstage. We'll pull you in and we'll kind of talk to you. It'll be fun. It'll be great. But before we get started, I want to give each of these individuals a chance to introduce themselves and show off their costumes a little bit. We're going to start with our friend Joe here. Okay? Joe, I'm going to put you in... there you are. You are now featured on the screen. Why don't you stand up, show people your costume, give us a twirl, maybe, right?
This is kind of a bit of a, as you can probably tell, this wasn't exactly expensive to make. But, you know, red lipstick, rabbit mask, whatever. I found this hood because I thought, let's make it even harder to see and harder to breathe out of. That does actually have a decent effect. Like if you put it to the side like this, you can walk around and it does freak some people out because it's like, you know, a face where it's not meant to be. Believe it or not, it actually works quite well. So yeah, this is what I'd call a budget suit, but if you're in the UK and you check your if you're in the UK and you're near a local Asda, you can probably make something like this for like under 15 quid.
Looks good, buddy. Thanks for being here. Yeah, it's great costume. Can we get a hand? Can we get a round of applause in chat for our friend Joe's costume here? I think even on a budget, I think it looks good. Can we get some cheers, some bits, some, I don't know, something. Yay, hooray, we all like it. It's all fun. Okay, next up, Mooncake, you are... Oh, your camera just went off as soon as I clicked that. I don't know what you did. Oh, there we are. We're back.
Is it back?
Yeah, it's back. Okay, stand up, twirl around, show us all, show off, right?
I can't exactly stand, but okay. I'm supposed to be a bunny. So
a spooky bunny or just a normal bunny?
Oh no, just like a normal bunny. Well, okay. like a Playboy bunny. That's what the inspiration was.
Well, you know what? It's spooky to me. I am scared. I am terrified. But we are here, and it's great. I think you look good, and we'll get going. Any tips for anyone who wants to copy this costume? Is there any like our friend Joe here did the blood and stuff? Were there any special techniques you used here?
If you want to copy it, you just need like bunny ears. I got this from, where did I get this from? Party City. They were kind of expensive actually. What's it called? Tights, and then just like a bodysuit and a little bow tie, and then there you go.
There we go, gang. A round of applause in chat. Can we get a round of applause in chat for Mooncake's bunny costume? Yeah, rabbit, bunny. I'm not sure the difference, but here we are. Rounds of applause, high fives, all that. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, next up, we have a first-time guest on our stream who specifically wanted to come in just for the costumes. Nev, I don't know how to say your name, but that's okay. Welcome. What are you? What is this? You are muted on your end. No one can hear a word you're saying.
Perfect. Sorry. My name is Nev. I am a flamingo, as you can see. Yeah, that's basically all I got for right now, but excited to see where the panel goes in a few minutes.
Can you stand up and show us the whole shebang?
I can roll backwards.
Roll back works. Excellent. It's a very pink costume. I think it looks good.
Pink.
I think it looks good. Any tips for anyone wanting to steal your look?
Yeah, absolutely. Get a pool floaty during the summer and just repurpose that shit. You know what I mean? Don't let it go to waste. Don't let it end up in your closet. Use it again.
Boom. Get it out of the closet, gang. Show it off. Let your flamingo flag fly. Great.
For
Thank
sure.
you for being here. This was special. Stardust. We can't see you yet.
Oh, yes. Sorry, just a second.
We're gonna give her a minute.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
are you
Okay.
are you a bunny with like the pox or something, or
I'm an animal cracker.
an animal cracker? Can you? I don't know if we can say that word on Twitch.
We can definitely say it. Like,
I think in context it's okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Stand up. Do a little twirl for us. Show off. Oh, did we lose her? Can we see her? This
I'm
broke?
here. Can you not see me?
Your camera's
I can see
frozen.
you.
I don't know why.
Your head is a little cut off, but I can see you overall.
Okay, excellent. You know what? I think it looks good. An animal cracker. Now I'm hungry. Okay. I will try not to let that affect my judgment when we come to the arguing and things like that. We are going to be talking about cannibalism later, gang. So that you know.
Oh, I'm
spoiler
great.
alert.
I'm ready for that one. That one will be fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll see how this goes. I figured everyone could use a little break from all the doom and gloom, and we can have a spooky, scary, good time. I guess while we wait on the other guests, who hopefully will be here shortly. Let me see. Yeah, they'll be they're speed running their makeup apparently. It's okay. I did this last minute too. That's why it's a little uneven, but that's okay. In the meantime, I guess I will let you all see me in full regalia. This is me. I'll do a little stand up there. Yeah.
I love your outfit, actually, Wick. I love your makeup.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good
Thank
job.
Well done. Well done.
They call me the Bone Lord. Okay, that's my nickname. And so I thought I'd be a skeleton for Halloween because it fits. So here we are. Now it'll be great. It'll be great. Gang, if you're chatting in chat, I'm not wearing my glasses right now, so I literally cannot say what you're saying. But I'm sure it's all good. I'm sure it's all great, and I'm sure it's all positive. There's absolutely no trolls in chat right now. I can tell. I feel it in my heart, which is right here. And we'll see how this goes. So I guess first thing, like, how's everyone doing today? How's everyone's Halloween? Has anyone gotten tricks or treats yet or anything like that?
No, I've been chilling. I think it's been a really quiet one. I live in an apartment building, so no one's coming to my door to ask for
Hell yeah.
candy, which, you know, as intended, so.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. I like passing out candy some years, but a lot of years it just gets in the way, especially if I'm doing things. So sorry, kids. I either do one of two things. I'll put it all in a bucket, right? And I'll put a little note saying only take one. And I know someone's going to just steal it all, right? I know that's going to happen. But you know what? It's not on me. I've done my due diligence, okay? Sometimes I'll do that. Or other times I'll position myself, whatever I'm doing, near the door so I could just open it and toss them, throw the candy at the kids, you know. Get out of here, kids. Do something scary, make them run away, things like that. But yeah,
Not bad.
it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't know.
Are you guys handing out candy?
Not this year because I live in a very rural area. If a child shows up, it'll be very surprising. What about you? Are you throwing out candy this year?
I am. I'm doing full-size chocolate bars.
What?
Oh, shit. In this economy?
I got a whole bunch because I was like, oh, like there's a ton of kids in my neighborhood. So I was like, oh, I thought I'd do like something special for them this year.
Well, that is
nice.
very generous. If you
Very
were
generous.
out here trick or treating in Canada, apparently, Mooncake's house is a house to hit up. I'll be real with you guys. I went trick or treating well into my 20s. Okay, I was like 22, knocking on doors, right, saying, "Give me candy." Halloween is like my favorite holiday. I get to dress up. I get to meet my community members. It's just great all around, and I get candy. Hell yeah!
I'm
I
afraid I
agree.
never did the Halloween thing really, as far as the trick or treat stuff is. I don't think it's as big in the UK.
You've never been trick-or-treating?
Nah, no. Oh, technically, but it was just my parents taking me round to like my grandparents. That was all that happened. Like, no actual knocking on strangers' doors. No.
Wow.
I actually
Man.
have given out candy though. When I was living in a more of a city slash town, I did actually do that once. So that's kind of as far as I've gone with it.
Fair enough, right? I guess that's I don't know. Like, I know they do trick-or-treating in Britain. I've lived in England. I know that happens, right?
They do, but I don't think it's quite as big, and I think some areas it just probably doesn't happen as much.
I guess not, but I don't know. I can't imagine growing up and not trick-or-treating. Stardust, you've been trick-or-treating, right? Also, your camera is
Oh
off,
yeah.
by the way.
Oh, sorry, I'm speed running my makeup too.
Oh, fair enough.
But yeah, no, Halloween was also my favorite holiday growing up because we didn't celebrate Christmas. So Halloween was my Christmas. So I really liked it.
Well,
I
you
had a
know
lot of
what?
fun.
You didn't celebrate Christmas. That's sad. But Halloween is a better holiday than Christmas. I would argue that Halloween is more of a Christian holiday than Christmas is.
You might be
my
right.
stance. You are at Christmas. You isolate yourselves among your family members, right? Some people go out caroling. Most people don't. Most people will stay with their family in their home, right? Maybe their extended family will come over, but it's very isolating. Halloween, everyone's out meeting their community. Everyone's out having fun. Everyone's out getting around, giving. Like if Mooncake, if you gave me a candy bar for Christmas, I'd be like, the fuck is this shit? Do you hate me? Right? A full like you get me Reese's, right, for Christmas? What is this? Right? And I would be super angry. But if I knocked on your door and you gave me a full-size candy bar for Halloween, hell yeah! Now I'm excited. Now I'm like, this hits the spot. Again, you're just more grateful. People are more grateful for things on Halloween. I don't know. Does anyone disagree?
I think Halloween is the real Thanksgiving, actually, because you rely upon the entire community to make that Halloween experience. And in a sense, because of that, like these socioeconomic like levels that different kids might have don't really appear as much, you know?
Yeah, actually, and that was the thing. A lot of kids in like another area, it's like I'd call it like a poorer area, usually come to this neighborhood. So I thought like the full size chocolate bars would be like a lot more fun. Like, oh, I got something kind of crazy for Halloween, because a lot of people don't tend to do that.
Also, right? Halloween is a specific time where a lot of people will invite others into their homes. And I'll give you an example for haunted houses and things like that. When growing up, I knew plenty of people who'd make their garage or even make their front porch or something into a literal like Halloween kind of haunted thing where you go through to get your candy. It was a whole shebang and a whole get up. People don't tend to do that on Christmas, at least not from my experience.
I think you can scare kids anymore, like you used to be able to.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know. I feel like when I was a kid, like the haunted houses, or maybe it's just because I was a kid, were like really scary. Like people would chase you. But I think now you have to be like careful with that stuff. I don't think you can just like go around
That's the
chasing.
sort of thing I'd like to set up. Like if I have kids, this is definitely one of the things I'm gonna do.
You wanna chase kids around? Joe, tell us more.
You
Elaborate.
know what? In
Let's
a
go.
costume like this, sure.
Okay. No.
This
I
sounds
stand
quite
it.
fun.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Right? Like people get just I'm with you, Mooncake. You can't scare kids properly anymore. Like Joe, Mooncake, and I'm curious what 𝕾𝍎 would like to think on this too. First of all, who here likes being scared, I guess?
I don't particularly like being scared. to
Why
be
not?
honest.
Not jump scares though. Jump scares are whack, but everything
Oh, yeah.
else.
Jump scares are crazy.
I don't know, because it's scary. I don't like it. Why?
Ooh, we
That's
are
why.
joined
Oh,
by
look at
my
the little
spooky,
baby.
scary little Tinkerbell here, who is here to spook and scare you. Ha 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 ha. Okay, anyway.
It's really adorable. I really like little dogs. I am a big Chihuahua fan myself.
It's
But
not a chihuahua.
back to the topic.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm just equating it with one because I like Chihuahuas. Yeah. Oh my god, I just totally forgot what I was gonna say.
You don't like jump
I was-
scares, but you like being
I
scared.
don't like jump
otherwise.
scares. I think it's just like okay, so it's like the Instagram reel of comedy, you know what I mean? Like it's just like you just I didn't see that coming. Haha, I'm so scared. But what you really did is you are, I don't know, like trying to trigger my my adrenaline rather than like constructing a story that I might actually find like enticing and scary. So
Actually, can we speak
Yeah.
to that? Like the fact that movies, like scary movies, aren't really well done anymore. There's not a lot of storylines that like actually scare you. It's mainly just jump scares,
What are
which
you
is really
talking
odd.
I
about?
think that
What do
I
you
think
mean?
that's always kind of been the case, though. Like, I recently watched the original Friday the 13th, and that does not hold up that well. Like, there's a lot of movies like, personally, when it comes to films, I just like anything which really gets under my skin. So stuff like I really like the Babadook. That's probably the last like one I remember being like perfect five. Like, absolutely.
I just
Um,
disagree with the premise that there aren't any good scary movies anymore. We have Hereditary, we have Midsommar,
yeah, that.
we have
those are
a
good.
wealth
I
of them
mean, the same
actually.
director,
Those
but both of
A24
those are
movies.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the A24 are pretty good, but what I mean is like I don't know recently what's coming out. Like for example, yeah, if we're gonna talk about like Midsummer, Hereditary, of course. Like even I'm trying to think like Nope to me was really really well done.
Nope was so good. Yeah.
I
I
love
Nope,
thought
that.
Nope
Yeah.
was very good, but it's kind of
So
it's
fucking
kind of like
weird.
a quarter horror. It's like a third horror, but yeah, I thought that was solid also.
yeah, like those storylines are solid, right? But I feel like sometimes, and maybe it's just like selection bias on my end, I don't know, people are coming out with like similar storylines. Like we keep on getting a Halloween. Like I just don't know why there's so many remakes. Or I guess not
It makes
remakes.
money, you know why.
I know, but
Brand recognition.
yeah, when does it end? You know?
Halloween
this
Yeah,
like
Ends was a movie they did.
well,
Yes.
apparently that new Exorcist didn't do too well, so maybe we won't get a ton more of them.
yeah, I watched that one. It was honestly okay, but it wasn't like
Yeah, same. I was like, it's not awful, but you know, not great.
I just like
Um,
again, I'm struggling to think of a recent movie in the last 2 years that was mainstream that succeeded, that went well, that was just jump scares. Like the latest one I think that you could put that into, and I haven't even seen it, it's just reports I've heard, is a Five Nights at Freddy's movie or whatever. I heard that was
yeah.
lame and it was just kind of jump scares and kind of
Yeah.
silly.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm interested. But then the whole game's premise was jump scares, so
Yeah.
I'd hardly be.
So I mean,
Mm.
fair, but Moon, can you give us another example
Of like just
of a
movie
jump
that
scare movie that was terrible?
um oh, remember? Okay, well, I don't know if this will count, but you remember when they tried to remake Black Christmas? You guys remember that one?
I heard it was awful, but I didn't
It
see
was
it.
it was
I
absolutely
think so.
horrible. I can't believe they even wasted money remaking that one. That was really bad. The
Is
new
it with
Grudge?
the fraternity and they had like magic and shit?
Yeah, they had like some weird stuff going on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
It
the
was pretty
original's a
bad. Yeah, I agree.
very straight up horror, no fantasy or magic elements, just kind of stab it.
Well, all
Like
horror
a
has
very
fantasy
good.
and magic elements, like I feel, right?
Did the original Black Christmas? I'm not sure if we're thinking of the same movie because I'm sure the original was a very
Yeah, the
straight up
original was very
serial
like
killer film.
yeah, it was just serial killer, I believe. I'm with Big on that.
You guys remember the
I
Scary Movie franchise?
The which one?
Yes. Yes.
yes,
The
I
Scary
remember.
Very
Movie
much.
franchise.
They're the
I did
best.
like those first two as a child. I have not seen them since.
Some of them hold
You
up.
know, everybody hates on them because it would turn into such a long thing. But I think that's kind of like an indicator of success that they like
Yeah.
made so many of those movies.
I think it's a weird case because the first was very much a parody of Scream, and Scream was already sort of a satirical comedy about horror movies anyway. But it was way fouler, way more of like just a flat out like blue comedy. I personally think those first two are actually pretty solid. Like it's before they started to get. First of all, they were hard 18s, which meant the jokes were a lot cruder, and it kind of got a lot more out of that shock value thing. And next of all, it wasn't at the point where they were just making everything kind of. I don't know. I feel like the later movies. Did anyone watch like those YouTube like review things like that guy with the glasses and things like that?
No,
Like,
I don't give a shit
No.
what
if
YouTubers
you've
think
ever
of movies.
heard of
I just
the,
don't.
the sort of sketches they have in there of sort of a similar quality to what those parody movies kind of ended up being, where it's
Mhm.
just like it feels very low effort. Just shove someone in a costume and say some lines and those early scary movies they're actually pretty solid, or at least I remember
I
them
really like
being.
Anna Faris. Anna Faris is
Yeah.
awesome in all the scary movies. I think the sleeper for me would be Scary Movie 3. Is the one I think about the most, and I know a lot of people
Why?
don't like it, but it's got a lot of really, really stupid ass jokes that I think you know, my humor would still tie to this day. And Scary Movie as a series was ahead of its time because
Yep.
nowadays we live in like a culture with like sus culture where guys just like play chicken with one another to like see who can be like the most gay without being gay kind of thing. And like
Is that
that
a
was a
thing?
lot of the cute. I wish I had a better example other than just like stating it like that. But yeah, I don't know. And like TikToks and different random stuff, I feel like a lot of people meme on the idea of whatever doing shit like that. But yeah, with like the Wyness brothers, the whole shtick for the entire movie was that he was like repressing his gay energy and it would like come out pretty blatantly and like super inappropriate times. But yeah, it was like really funny. I don't know, over the thinking back to it.
I don't know.
Man, I just remember the glory hole scene. Like that is one of those good hard.
Oh, with the
gotta
hot
do a
dog?
hot-
Oh no, it's an actual.
like
Yeah.
like they actually showed a dick going through a guy's head.
Yes, I remember that now. Oh my god, I watched that with my mom. I think.
Yeah? Did you?
I think we all watched.
So,
We all watched
I
it
think
when we were
so.
little kids. That was
Look.
that was like the target market. It's like an 18 rated film aimed at like 10-year-olds, and that was the appeal.
It's always awkward seeing like a gross, gory kind of sexy scene with your parents, right? Or other family members, like watching a movie, and suddenly they'd have like this hot as fuck sex scene going on, and you're like, your mom's on one side, your sister's on the other, and you're like, well.
I watched most of Game of Thrones with my family.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie where there's a sex scene and thought, wow, that's super sexy, that's super hot.
Thank you.
Same, to be honest. I think it's a weird area. You've got this. Have you seen this whole like Zoomer debate about whether or not like we should have less or more sex scenes and stuff?
Less sex scenes. I wish we had less sex scenes and stuff. Actually,
I'm
Yeah,
weird
I'm
there
okay with
because
that too.
I can kind of see the point, but I also think there's some stuff where I'm like, if it wasn't this graphic, it wouldn't work.
Wait,
But those
what is
tend to be more.
Joe, just real quick on that. What would you say is a movie or a show or a story that has a sex scene that is necessary to the plot?
Oh, Fat Girl's a great example.
What was it?
So if you've ever the film, it's a French film called Fat Girl. If it wasn't as graphic, it just wouldn't work as a movie. Like it needs to be there, and it needs to be
Eyes Wide
as
Shut.
Eyes
uncomfortable
Wide
as
Shut's
it
fair.
is.
Eyes Wide Shut's fair. Okay, I don't know about this Fat Girl one. I can't speak to that. But Eyes Wide Shut,
A
I
good
get it.
one.
Huh?
Yeah.
A good one would be The Matrix. I'm just throwing that in there. I think it's the second one where like they're at the rave and it just like it's like the hot and heavy like everyone's dancing and then it's like Keanu Reeves and I can't remember her name banging in what seems to be like the most open hall ever, but like the cinematography and the intensity is like shared between the rave and the sexual act. So I always
Yeah,
really
it's
like that one.
interesting because I've seen that be one of those ones people complain about. It's like, why is it in here? But I don't really remember it. Like, I saw that movie once, and it's been a long time.
Like, I don't mind sex scenes in some stuff, but I do feel like a lot of TV shows, like no matter what you're watching, I feel like we get forced to sex scene. And I
I
kind of
will
wish
say that the gay sex scene in the Last of Us TV series, I thought definitely was earned. Like, that makes that
Earned?
a
Yeah.
little bit better.
Hmm.
Anyone see that?
in The Last of Us.
The TV show.
Yeah, yeah.
Weirdly, the second game's a good example of like one of those awkward sex scenes which doesn't really work. If you've seen that, it's something where they just start banging suddenly, and it's like, I'm sorry, I could not penetrate that quickly. This takes me out. This does
What?
not seem realistic to me. Like,
Well, it's on the director to convey the tension, and if they don't convey the tension properly, then it wouldn't make sense to have a sex scene at all. It would just seem really like counterintuitive to the
It's
story.
sort of weird because I've noticed that in games a lot recently. Like, a bunch of the Rockstar games have sex scenes, and they're all really bad. Like, The Last of Us 2 gets a lot of people go after that because basically you're playing a woman and you walk into a sex scene. So I think that makes people really uncomfortable, even though it isn't really a particularly good sex scene. But Rockstar, they just shove it in every game, and it always looks terrible.
What
Totally.
about would you say the same thing for the Baldur's Gate sex? Since we're gonna move to video games,
Oh,
the
I've got
Baldur's.
it
Do you
in.
think the Baldur's Gate sex scenes were too much?
I have not played Baldur's Gate because I
Hmm.
hear it's 80 hours, so I'm afraid I can't
It's a
really
it's a
give
long time. Yeah.
judgment. Um, my personal take on all those video game romances is that to me they always feel kind of awkward because the main character is always a blank slate with very little personality, and you're kind of trying to push them into this romance, which feels hard to believe. Like, I recently played through Mass Effect again, and that I was just as much of a prick to like the love interest as possible. Like, there's this blue alien chick, Liara, and she's the obvious intended love interest. And I was just an asshole the whole time. Like, I made my character take every like evil slash alien racist choice, and at the end, as long as you have enough conversations with her, you still bang her at the end. It just feels so off because that main character isn't a character, it's just an avatar for the player.
Oh no, we have gotten off the plot on horror movies,
Yes,
so
there we go.
we have gone
A little bit.
way off the intended path of this conversation.
I guess I moved on to criticizing video games
It's
that have
okay.
sex
That's
scenes,
okay.
but
This is why I'm
whatever.
here. This is why we're bringing it back. This is why I bring it back.
We can move back to something more horror related.
Well, I'm just curious what everyone's favorite horror movie is before we move off the top.
Oh,
the
good
top of the
point.
That's
movies.
hard.
Nev first, then I want to hear Moon, then everyone else.
Okay, the one that comes to mind first, just as like a whole, I like Annihilation with Natalie Portman. I always really like that movie. I don't know why.
Really?
Would you
Okay.
consider it a horror movie?
Yes,
Yeah, I don't know.
it has
maybe.
horror elements at least, so I'll
It's
count
certainly
it.
in that
Right?
sort of horror area.
But more recently, I really liked The Green Knight. I thought it was a weird ass movie. I don't know if you've ever
I
seen it,
need to
but
see that.
I would recommend it. It's an A24 film filmed in a very unique way about a knight who is cursed and his
Awesome.
journey to go through that curse. So I would recommend it. It's
A24
really cool.
movie. Say no more. Say no more. I'll have to check it out.
Please do.
Annihilation, I would consider a horror movie simply because it has this existential dread baked into the plot, baked into the concept.
Definitely.
Whether it was good or not, that's another question. But
True.
yes, it does count.
I
So
like that.
Annihilation
Blew my
and The
mind.
Green Knight. Those are the answers from Nev. What do we got from Mooncake here?
Okay, okay, I have to do a top 3 just because like it's really hard.
That's fine.
The original It like really traumatized me as a child, and like it's like stayed with me forever. Like I have a huge fear of clowns, so definitely that one. Us, because that one actually scared the hell out of me when I saw it in theaters. And then Us thing. No, actually, I think that's it. Us and the original It. I think.
Pretty
Yeah,
classic.
that one's crazy.
Okay. What do you got for us, Joe?
I'd say my favourite, and I'm not sure if this is in that extinction area where I'm not sure whether it strictly counts as horror, but my favourite quote unquote movie, not horror, just movie in general, is probably Save the Green Planet, which definitely steps into horror a lot of points. But it's in that, do you count it as horror? Do you count it as black comedy?
I've never
Some
seen this
people have
one.
some people have compared it to torture porn, which I think is kind of unfair, but it's definitely going to make some people very uncomfortable. When it comes to more strictly horror, I think 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙 might be my favourite. And that's much more of a straight up like horror movie. No fantasy elements, but it is just a full on like black comedy horror.
Noted. I'll have to check it out sometime. Excision, you said?
Yeah, 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙.
Okay. What about you, Stardust? And how's your makeup coming along? We still can't see you. Stardust. Stardust,
Oh,
no.
yes, sorry.
Oh.
Hi. What's up?
Yeah, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay,
sorry,
what-
I just sat back down.
No, it's fine. What's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie. I don't have a favorite horror movie. I have a favorite Halloween movie though.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, Gremlins. Gremlins is the perfect movie because it's Halloween and Christmas combined.
That's so scary.
Surprisingly fucked up. Yeah,
That
it's
is a
really
very
weird.
good response.
No, Gremlins is a Christmas movie. What do you mean it's a Halloween movie? It's a
I
Christmas
would
It's
movie.
happily
Halloween
call
and
it light
Christmas.
horror.
I get it. Yeah, it's a horror movie. I count it as kind of a horror movie, right? It's got horror elements, but it's also a Christmas movie. It's not. It doesn't take. Am I wrong here? Does it take place during Halloween or Christmas? I thought it was Christmas.
I do think it's Christmas, but I still think it's a good count for a horror movie.
I mean, sure, yeah. There are horror movies that take place on Christmas that are also Christmas movies, in my opinion. But different. Okay, that's a good answer. My answer, right? If I had to pick a favorite horror movie, and it does again blur the lines, but I think it is a great just movie in general. Cabin in the Woods.
Mm,
You guys seen that one?
like it. Yes.
I've not actually.
You've never
Saw it
seen
in
Cabin in
theaters.
the Woods?
What
Mm-mm.
blow your fucking mind.
Bro, I'm not even
Biggest
gonna go
movie.
into it, but that
Yeah.
it is. The way I described it to people years ago was that it's Scooby-Doo it's like a Scooby-Doo movie, but serious and for adults.
I think that's a good description, although that's probably why I was never that big on it. But I think a lot of people really like it, not necessarily me.
I thought it was clever. I thought it was interesting, and the concept was just it was horrifying. So yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I don't know if anyone else is coming, so we're just gonna get into the main topics. Are you guys fine with that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, of course. Let's do it.
Okay,
Let me turn my camera on.
Just give
Okay.
myself a little better. Give myself a bit of air.
Oh, somebody mentioned Evil Dead in your Twitch chat.
Evil
That's a really
Dead's
good
great
one.
too. Yeah, Evil
The
Dead.
remake, not the original. I haven't seen the original, but the newer one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do remember. I saw the newest. I thought it was fun. I haven't
Wait,
seen the actual remake of the first. Like I saw the fifth movie.
Mm-hmm. No, it's pretty decent. I like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. Okay, so this is the first topic, and this will be near and dear to Flamingo and Bunny here. Both bunnies, I guess I should say. Should furries be a protected class? Why or why not? And we're gonna start with Joe here, who has abandoned his bunny
Yes, I'm-
costume. and is now
I
a
just need
faceless
that
one.
air. I'm not
Uh-huh.
trying to.
You're making your
I'm-
stance clear. Okay.
Okay, should they be a protected
Yeah, should we be able
class?
to press 𝕾𝖍𝖎 and Mooncake, for example?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say probably yes, because as far as I think furry, it comes too close. It comes across as more of a fetish than a legit sexuality. Like, I'm not saying you should highly bully someone for it, but it's a bit like someone admitting they have a fart fetish. Like, I don't hate them for it. I just find it a bit weird. But I wouldn't say it should be illegal to make fun of someone for having a fart
Okay,
fetish.
so
It's just a
bully
weird
the
thing.
furries coming in strong and hot. I like your take. We'll see how it goes. Okay, Mooncake, what's your take? Bully the furries or no?
No, we should not bully the furries. Honestly, in my eyes, they're
Okay.
so harmless, except for obviously the people who take it overboard. But relatively, like they dress up in costumes and they have consensual sexual activities. Like,
I do want to say that really impresses me because that must take some real physical skill. Like, I feel I'm fairly in shape. I would not try having sex in one of those costumes. Way too much effort. Like, exhausting, probably.
So I wanted to give a chance to Moon to finish her statement though. So are you done?
yeah,
Sorry.
so, sorry, they should be a protected class
Protected
because I
class?
think, yeah, people will hurt them.
Noted. Neve, what do you think?
So I've always had this thought where, I would consider myself a very judgmental person, but then I've had these thoughts like where like things like furries, a lot of anime, like this stuff that like makes me like super uncomfortable. And I've always like stopped to kind of like wonder why. Like, why does this make me uncomfortable? And so in my mind, I've always had this thought process where like I need to prepare myself for the eventuality that like somebody I know is going to come out to me as a furry. Like, what would I do in that moment? And like, to be honest, if you think about the whole community, like, I don't think they're pretty harmless. Like, people make jobs out of like drawing shit and making shit. Like, it's fine. I think they are obviously have been defined by like the small community of people who are having sex in animal suits. I wouldn't co-sign that at all. Yeah, I think that the behavior of the community, I don't know, it's pretty interesting. Should they be a protected class? Absolutely not. I think that if you're a furry, if you're somebody that is just chilling, doing your thing, I think people would equate it to cosplay. But if you're like, if you're trying to like, add a sexual element to that and you're brave enough to do that in public, absolutely people should bully you. So, yeah.
Based. Stardust, what do you think, Animal Cracker Lady? Does Animal Crackers count as furries? I don't know.
No. Okay, so there are a couple of things that make furries not a protected class, right? One of them, voluntary association. It's not really a lifestyle. Well, it is a lifestyle. It's a voluntary identity and lifestyle choice. But it's not like an inherent immutable characteristic, right? There's also like the fact that it's not a core aspect of anybody's identity. It's not, you know,
It's not?
it's not a
Okay.
it's not. No, it's not. It's not a core aspect of anybody's identity, you know? It's not a fundamental human characteristic. It's not like race. It's not like gender. It's not a disability, you know? It is like being a goth, basically, with with a few extra steps, essentially. It's an aesthetic with maybe a sexual part of it. And making furries protected class has the potential for abuse. People can just falsely claim that they're a furry for personal gain if it is a protected class. I mean, imagine the amount of people taking college funds, taking college scholarships because they identify as a furry. And yeah.
Oh no, free
Anyway,
education? Terrible. Okay, go on, please.
well, look,
That'd be
free
horrible, right?
education based off
Horrifying, people getting free education.
based off of somebody's sexual fetish. Nah, I'm not really interested. And if we start like classifying furries as a protected class, I'm worried about like what else are we gonna classify as a protected class, like BDSM people, like gay beat up people. You guys get together and beat each other up. Like yeah.
The gay beat up people? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I think you meant beat off, but you might have meant beat up. I don't know.
Maybe they beat off too.
Like-
They get together in a circle and they all beat off.
What
They
if
certainly
someone,
don't deserve to be a protected class. So
what if someone like identifies as a furry, right? then like someone finds out, right? Someone at work finds out and they get fired for being said furry. I just think that like that wouldn't be fair. So it should maybe be a protected class because then it could affect their employment rights if someone found out they were one, even if they weren't committing any crimes. I'm just worried that because people are like, oh, furries are this and this, they could potentially lose positions they may
Well,
have.
there's already like a basis for suing people with that, right? Like you can't fire somebody for things that they do in their personal life,
Yes,
can
you
you?
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not right,
Yeah,
So you
but
shouldn't.
I think you're going to open the door where if you do this specifically, you could lose that, right? Because we're all kind of as a society saying, "Oh, these people are weirdos." But genuinely, it's just like eh, people who like, and I think those animal costumes cost them upwards of like $10,000. So I think that is like an inherent characteristic. I truly believe that these people might think that they are these animals, and it's like, what do we do when we have like a group of people like that?
I do have to say, I think on that level, it might be classable as a mental illness. Like, if you got plenty of money, I can understand. But if you're a poor furry and all your money has to go on your costume, I am worried that that may be less a sexual kink or just a hobby and more of some sort of mental handicap at that point.
You've seen the I think it was a Japanese guy who bought the like super ultra realistic dog suit and just lives as a dog.
I've seen that. Snapchat
Yeah.
tiles.
How is that not a protected class? Because again, the person lives as the animal, right? They act and behave, and they've spent and poured in all their resources to doing this. If that's not a mental illness protected class, I don't know what is. Okay.
Mental
Okay, but
illness is a protected class, is it not, by itself? Yeah, so we don't need the furry label, It's just
Mhm.
another thing. We already had the mental illness thing.
Well, they would argue that it's not a mental illness, that is just how they were born, right? No, they didn't choose to be a furry. They didn't choose the furry life. The furry life chose them. Okay.
Well, I also think that protected classes should protect, the particular class against like society or negative actors in society as a whole. It shouldn't protect them against themselves, which I think is probably the biggest issue here.
Okay,
Yeah, if
can
you
I
dress up
make
in
an
a
odd...
furry suit and you throw your diapers all over the place and your job fires you, yeah, I don't blame them for firing you because you were throwing your diapers and making it your shit. Everybody else's shit,
I want to make
Oh.
a case that furries are not inherent. It's not something people are born as. So here's my logic. Okay, I assume you guys are familiar with the term Rule 34. It refers to
I know what
basically...
that is. Yes, yes. But
Yes.
explain it for the class.
Okay.
I'm very curious for you to explain this to my audience. Go ahead.
So Rule 34 refers to pornographic works based on existing content. So basically,
So is there a Rule
and
34 of me?
Wick, there might be, but I'm not going to look it up on stream
Fair
right
enough.
now. To my knowledge, I mean, a fair amount of real people I'm aware it exists, but I don't know if you're big enough yet for that. If you're lucky, perhaps.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'd take it as a compliment, but I guess it depends on what it actually looked like. Okay. So here's the thing. Nothing has inspired more pornographic artwork than My Little Pony, apart from Pokemon. And at least with Pokemon, I can kind of understand that because there's way more possible body types. Like, it seems a little more acceptable just based
Well,
on
there's
that.
Sonic too. There's a lot of
So
apparently
yes,
Rule 34
Sonic hasn't. Sonic also a good example, but it hasn't inspired as much as My Little Pony. My Little Pony, I did a breakdown, some charts, and it's insane. Like that, most of those individual ponies have inspired more pornographic artwork than nearly any other fictional character. Like, no one wants to bang Jessica Rabbit from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's which you would think would be a more popular choice because she's obviously meant to be drawn as hot as possible for your standard guy. Everyone is attached to these cartoon horses from this show. I've never watched. Like, I'm scared what it will do to me. I'm not watching that.
Are you
But,
worried that it'll awaken something inside of you?
Well, it's like, here's the thing. I've never tried a drug with a needle. Like, I'm sure it wouldn't instantly turn me into an addict, but I protect myself. I don't take drugs which need needles ever, even if offered freely. I'm like, nothing with a needle, no thanks, never.
So how does this mean? Like, so you said you were gonna. Well, first of all, thank you for the $2. Testicle Johnson acknowledged the Foxkin. Foxkin acknowledged. Okay. I don't know what that means, but fair. But you started off this rant by saying, "Hey, we're going to show how the furry isn't an immutable characteristic," and then you started talking about pony porn, and I am trying to connect this in my mind, but I am failing to do so. So please,
I'll make my point.
Please land your plane, buddy.
Basically, 1,000 years ago, nobody wanted to jack off to cartoon horses. No one knew what that was. Same for Sonic the Hedgehog. Same for all these fictional characters. Like, a lot of them are so weird. And
But
what I would imagine,
been men who want to fuck horses.
Yeah,
though?
I think that like it wouldn't be
to
cartoons.
to be fair, that has existed, but it wasn't the same thing. What I think has happened is these men are generally in love with these cartoon horses. Like, they've watched this kid's cartoon, gotten romantically obsessed with these individual cartoon horses with all these different names, like Applejack and Pinkie Pie or whatever. My sister watches it. I've never touched it. Don't look at me. Now they're in love with these horses, and that has caused them to produce this wave and wave of pornographic content. And I think the furry thing is kind of an extension on that. Like, I hate to bring up the name Christian because it's such a, uncomfortable area. But, that was someone with severe mental health problems who became obsessed with, like, Sonic the Hedgehog characters and basically built his sexuality around these weird, like, cartoons. So he's basically watching stuff aimed at little kids and then trying to shove, like, this mentally handicapped guy who still has, like, the sex drive of an adult into his only main frame of reference, which is fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. And I think furries probably in some cases come from a similar area. So a sort of something which they've got into.
So you think society
socially
makes for you think these cartoons,
yes,
these children
I think
cartoons,
I
are
think
breeding furries that they're
Yes, I
corrupting
think
our
they
youth?
Can I
are.
weigh in here? I'd like
Not
to weigh in
necessarily.
here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I do think that like this has always been around. Just these people have a more acceptable outlet now because it's drawn. But you guys heard of just the right height, no bucket required? That is a term
Explain.
that is a term that people use who have sex with their horses when they find a good mare and they can put their penis inside it and they don't need a bucket to stand on. That is so there's a whole documentary on dudes who fuck their horses. There's a wife talking to the camera saying she found out her husband was fucking the horse and she doesn't know how to feel about it. And let me tell you, these dudes in this documentary, they look like they're horse fuckers. There was a thing, if you were to look at somebody and say that guy looks like a horse fucker, all the people in that documentary. So yeah, just the right height, no bucket required. That is a term that those people use. People have always, been sick and trying to fuck animals and shit. And, that also people fucking, sheep or whatever. But I'm just saying that woman, I'm telling you, if I were in her place, I found out my husband was fucking a horse, going out and he wasn't in love with me. He was in love with the horse instead. And he was going out and fucking that horse. I would neck myself. I would in Minecraft. I would neck myself so quickly in Minecraft. So,
Beckett, you're on notice. Never let her discover your secret. Okay, fair enough.
What a wonderful rant to enter on. Welcome all.
Oh, howdy ho. Let's introduce our newest guest here. I'm going to put you on the screen. You want to stand up, show everyone your costume, kind of give us the full view here.
Hello, So I'm Radhom. I'm a lefty Australian political streamer. I paint
Hello.
miniatures while covering politics. I've got a background in circus and burlesque, and today I'm here with you as 𝕵𝖔𝖎𝖙𝖘𝖍𝖔𝖜 of the Great Church of Sin. Happy Halloween, everyone. May it be delectable.
Oh, well, this is a religion I can absolutely get behind, okay? I'm really excited to see how you convert the heathens in your religion, sir. But thank you and welcome for being here. And I guess to interject, right, and to kind of get your opinion, furries, what do we do with them? What's the solution? Do you have a final solution to furries, perhaps?
My solution to furries is quite simple. Give them as much money as possible so that they can keep the artistic industry afloat in this time of chaos amidst the creation of abominable intelligence, forging art that is not real art. Furries are the solution to an issue. They are not a problem themselves.
The solution rather than the problem. Bold take. So, given the fact, and
My apologies, I did just get a raid. I'm muting myself for a moment to say hello.
Oh, raids are great. So, by no means do you need to apologize. Mooncake, you're probably the other furry stan on the panel, right? You've heard the arguments from Stardust, right? Why do you support horse fuckers?
Okay. From what I know, furries, like, they are not actually having sex with real animals. Those people are just like sick. They just buy these costumes that look like animals, right? They're just like cartoons of animals, and they do whatever they do. If it's just those people, they're really not hurting anybody.
Don't you think that leads to them not being so? Don't you think that there comes a point where they're no longer satisfied with just the costume, just to pretend? It awakens in them a
No.
desire for something more?
I don't think so. Like, I think a lot of furries just stay as furries. They don't just become people who actually have sex with animals. Like that's bestiality. I think that's like those people are just they have issues, and they were probably already always gonna do that to an animal.
I think what we need to do is Stardust. What we need to do is figure out if those people who are fucking real horses are watching My Little Pony, and if they're not, we can probably safely say that the furries who have sex in their costumes, they're looking for as close as they can get to the cartoon, not the real animal.
Like furry's been a thing.
Right.
Like, is this
So,
like?
I have a little bit of outsider knowledge here. I have some furries in my community. I happen to know that there is a small subset of furries who are quite controversial in the furry community because they sexualize non-anthropomorphic animals, which is quite fucked up. Good sinning, proper sinning. It requires consent. It requires all parties to willfully and consciously be able to jump in and have that fun. But
It's horse rape.
animals
It's
are
horse rape.
subsapient. I concur, it's horse rape, but furries are not horse rapists, and furries are not fetishizing animals. It is a hybrid, a fusion, a part of the inner self expressed outwardly.
Okay, so did you guys hear about that one dude in Florida who tied up an alligator and kept it in his basement and kept fucking it, and then he got arrested?
No.
Okay,
No.
that's the thing that happened. I don't know what kind
So
of
that's an
fucked up
animal
freak-
rapist, not a furry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's an animal rapist. But I'm just saying, if there's an overlap somewhere in this Venn diagram, we got to eliminate that overlap.
Okay.
I would say that there is more fetishism for fucking animals among middle-class white women than there is in the furry community.
Oh, come on.
The amount of
Statistically, it's more
the
men.
amount of dog fucker smut out there on the internet would fill 10 Bibles over.
Yeah, but what you gotta understand is that stuff is being put out there largely for a male demographic who like to jerk off to it. Like,
No,
the
it's not.
actual-
Written smut, the main demographic for written smut is females.
Are you sure that's true?
Is
pretty
women,
dubious.
yes.
I'm
I am
very
dead
dubious.
certain.
No, how do you tie that to fucking dogs, though? Smut, isn't it like smut a general term? Like,
A dog fucking smut, specifically. There is a disturbing amount of dog fucking smut on the internet.
I think you've run defense for furries before. Crazy.
I'll run defense for furries, not for the dog fuckers.
I'm just a bit dubious.
I'm too
of the
dumb to
kind
make the
mostly-
distinction. It's the same thing to me right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. This has maybe gone to places that I did not. I should have expected, but here we are. Okay, I think we've run the course. We have clear sides here. We have. We've reached an impasse. I think we are all 100% against the dog fuckers, and the only question is whether or not or how much furries play into that. But we've discussed that, and I think it's time.
Furries are engaging in sacred and beautiful acts of sin.
Noted.
And for that, they should be celebrated.
So, speaking of dogs, I want to bring up something that has disturbed me for a while now. You guys are familiar with Disney at all? You
Yes.
know Mickey Mouse,
Mhm.
Goofy, all that. Goofy is a dog, first of all, and owns, as a pet, another dog, Pluto. Does that make Goofy a slave master? And should we condemn Goofy for enslaving another of his kind? Why or why not? What do we think? And we're starting in the reverse
It's
order.
not.
We're going to go with Stardust first, and then we'll just go around. Stardust. Goofy, slave master? Yes or no?
I think that they're partners. And they got some freaky shit going on. And they gotta keep that shit in their bedroom. There's no reason for the rest of us to be seeing that shit.
Immediately sexualizing it. Wonderful. I tried to get away from the sexualization, but here we are. Thank you, Stardust. Appreciate you. Okay, our friend Rad, the Sultan of Sin, the prophet of pussy. I don't know how to say it, but anyway, go ahead.
If it depends on the levels of sapience and the levels of consent and arrangement. If Pluto is sub-sapient and Goofy is a sapient anthro, one can argue that they are separate species and separate levels of being. Now, if Pluto is sapient and it is a consensual relationship between a sapient dog and a sapient part dog, loving, dom, sub, as long as Pluto gets aftercare and has a safe word, I guess a safe growl, it's all perfectly fine.
Wait, so, hi, you've seen, like, Disney shows, right, before with Goofy and Pluto in it, correct?
Many years ago.
Okay, so it's been a while. Pluto, right, clearly he's sapient, according to the show. Like, I don't think there's a question of that. I mean, clearly he's able to react, and look, I don't know a real dog that acts like Pluto in my life, right? He's clearly, with it, if you will. So I don't know. Like, I think you're running cover a little bit here.
So
by introducing this as a question.
There is then, if he is clearly sapient, the possibility for Pluto to give consent. However, if Pluto doesn't have a mastery of language, how does one ascertain that consent? I mean, if he's, tapping on a little yes button, then how can you tell that he's not just been trained to tap on that yes button?
Well, can I just say, I think this is actually kind of fucked up, because you're basically saying if Pluto is mentally disabled, like if a human is mentally disabled, is it okay for us to have them naked and on a leash? What's wrong with you?
A mentally disabled person is still sapient. Now,
What makes...
a mentally disabled person is sapient.
It's getting
Okay.
Peter Singer
What
in here.
makes-
Like they're walking into
Has
my
their own
argument.
choices
They're walking
to
into
make.
my argument.
Now,
That I would
someone
like to
in a
make.
vegetative state, someone who is brain dead, is no longer sapient and cannot consent. Now, obviously, cannot be kept as a slave or a pet because, people have rights. They still have personhood. There are those who campaign for animal personhood. However, I think that the keeping of pets is perfectly fine.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I do want to, like Nev said here, I want to give everyone a chance to have their say. Speaking of Nev, what's your thoughts here?
Well, they're clearly like, I don't think we need to sexualize animals here. Right? We did a lot of that in the last conversation. I think that there's clearly a conservatorship going on here. The Pluto is not able to make informed decisions for themselves. is prone to like running into shit all the time. Probably doesn't know what it can and cannot eat. And that's what Goofy's there for, to make sure that he doesn't eat anything too rough.
So
Conservatorship.
Pluto is like the Britney Spears of the Disney universe. Gotcha. Interesting.
Just less talented.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough.
Mhm.
Mooncake, what are your thoughts here?
I was gonna say that's probably just actually slavery. Like when you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty bad. Like he owns him.
It's true.
Unless
Fair enough.
it's
Coming up with
consensual dom-sub relationship pet
I don't
play.
think I don't think that's what it is. I don't think so.
I guess we'll get into it, and I guess we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We're only seeing the family-friendly parts of their life. I mean,
Yeah?
Disney's not going to show us the raunchy shit that happens off screen.
Okay, we want to get to I want to open this up and we'll get into it, but I want to give Joe a chance. Joe, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I think there's been a bit of a mistake. I believe Pluto is owned by Mickey. But to expand on that, I've noticed an uncomfortable kind of class distinction throughout Disney's animals. For example, it's very clear that the dogs are generally seen as lower status than the ducks and the mice. Like, I remember I watched that, what was it, DuckTales as a kid, and the dogs are always the ones trying to, like, rob Scrooge McDuck. They're clearly the more impoverished and, like, lower, I guess you'd almost say, racial category in Disney's world. Like, Goofy doesn't own Pluto. Goofy's just considered the good dog that's acceptable to hang around with, like, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. The rest of them are seen as either criminals or, well, slaves, like Pluto is ultimately to Mickey. Which isn't to say he's treated particularly badly, but he's clearly had zero education. He can't speak. He eats out of a bowl, which is generally just not very acceptable. Yeah, I do think it's generally fucked up, and it is a very uncomfortable aspect to Disney's children's setting, that there is this clear subclass in the dogs that live below their other anthropomorphic animals.
So
I would like to
Rathom
point
here,
out
if I may,
that
just before.
Sorry, just one. I just want to address that just for a
Very
moment. I
quick.
would
I
like
have
to
a
point
question
out.
to
I see where
you.
you're coming
I promise
from.
you.
Okay.
I have a question to you, and you can address that as I ask a question, and maybe answer my question to you. Because you mentioned that it's not slavery if they consent. Do you believe that people can consent to sell themselves into slavery? Go ahead.
No, I do not. You cannot consent to permanently remove your own free will. You can temporarily give control of your free will to someone else, but in a dom-sub situation, the power ultimately rests in the hands of the sub. That is the only way to do it ethically, the only way to ensure that all can maximize their sin and their enjoyment thereof.
In your opinion, is Disney and its like entire business model, have they always modeled ethical decision making? Do you think that they exemplify that?
Fuck no. But I just wanted to say, on the note of, I see where you're coming from with the dogs being lower class. I do want to say Goofy's son did go to, I believe the Americans call it college, university, for the rest of us. And there were other dogs there. So hopefully in the future, the class disparities will drift and be addressed. But there does seem to be, at least in the financial world, a duck supremacy. Between Scrooge and his main rival seeming to be two of the richest creatures in that canon.
$5 from Testicle Johnson, and I hesitate to read this, but money's money. Pets are property, so you're allowed to fuck them. Therefore, it's more ethical to fuck an animal you don't own, like a wild animal or your neighbor's cat.
They cannot consent. It is always unethical.
Thank you for the $5, but seek help. Okay.
Yeah, you cannot do that.
What? So, Mooncake, you keep saying it's slavery, like just straight up. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, like in some of the scenes, like from what I was looking at online, like the dog actually looks sad and like he wears a collar, and like thing was saying, Joe was saying, like he eats out of the bowl on the ground. It's kind of like he gets his scraps, like he's just good enough to be around them. That's the vibe it kind of gives off.
I think there's a whole genre of people on TikTok who wear collars, and I don't even think it's sexual. I think it's just an aesthetic.
Like just like
Kink has moved through into fashion, but that was something of a non sequitur from the point being made.
That's fine. I just think that making and wearing a collar as a dog, as potentially the companion of that dog, isn't necessarily being used to, like, I don't know, exert force over that person. I think he's just a stylish dog.
I don't know, but then it's like he can easily be led around, right? What do you do with the dog usually? You have a collar around it so you can easily like hook them up so you can take them somewhere. So to me it's he doesn't even have exactly like free will, right? He's always got to be around, doing something for his owner, going somewhere with his owner. I don't know. Just seems
Well,
like a weird
that's
balance.
everything you've described, the sadness, the bowl, the collar, having to, be around human to do things. That's all things that apply to a regular dog. However, the question is, how sapient is Pluto? And are all animals in this leg of the Disney universe equivalent levels of sapience?
I think the issue is that there's clearly other dogs which, while maybe not as well off as, say, the ducks, the Beagle Boys are at least capable of, like, trying to rob other ducks, which they speak. They may be fairly poor, but they clearly have the capability of, of a similar capability to the ducks and the mice. Pluto, his capability seems low, but that may well be that has been enforced on him by Mickey.
Are you suggesting that Pluto was forcibly lobotomized in order to justify keeping him as a pet?
Not necessarily. That is a possibility. I was thinking more that may be the only culture he's ever known. Like, he may not have ever been around other dogs and may have been forced to just live in that, like, walk on all fours, have a leash on. If that's all he's aware of, I mean, I would imagine when Goofy's round, Goofy just feels uncomfortable and just doesn't bring it up.
And we have this distinction again between the anthros and the non-anthros. I think that the anthro animals are their own distinct strain. Now, whether anthros can, produce offspring cross species, I don't know. Whether we can consider all anthros to be the one species, but anthros and non-anthros do seem to be distinctly different within the Disney canon.
Well, we have some
I
Disney
think that's important
experts
to
here.
identify.
I confess, I did not even consider the stratifying of mice, duck, dog until just now. So I'm learning so much, gang. Yeah, I would read chat. I see you chatting. I can't see what you're saying. Like, I literally can't read anything that's being said to me. So I hope you're all being good. I see myself tagged a couple times. Please don't act up while I can't see you. Okay, fair enough. I think we've kind of solved this one, right? Like, we don't have enough information on Pluto himself. If he can be considered sapient, then what is being done to him is terrible. Assuming he didn't consent to it in public with Goofy and Mickey or something. Any final thoughts on this before we move on to the next?
Free my boy Pluto.
Free Pluto. Okay.
I said I hope he wasn't bought and like sold.
Well, that is a question that I'm not sure the answer is, but we can find it out.
Before we move on to something hopefully different to animal fucking,
yes,
I would just like to quote from the Doug Anthony All-Stars. The Great Dane is too tall, Chihuahuas are too small, but the dog that I like to quell lonely nights, well, the Dachshund is best of all, because he is longer than he's thin. He loves to let me in. His eyes swell with love, he fits like a glove, and that's why he's man's best friend. There endeth the horrible lesson.
The things I can never, ever forget, not even after years of therapy, that will haunt me to my grave. It is the season of spooky, though, so thank you for adding that to the horror that is our discourse and our life. Okay, next up, and this one is courtesy of our friend Stardust here, who has much experience in this. Whiteface. Is it racist? Why or why not? So if our friend Stardust, as she has done before, were to come in whiteface and pretend to be a white person, would that be something that we should criticize her for? Is that racist? What do you think, Joe? Is Stardust racist for using whiteface?
I would argue it's acceptable, but I'm going to be controversial here and say that I'm actually not against people dressing up as other races within certain context. I don't think it. I think
so. Blackface
it's
is okay for you?
Yes, in certain contexts it is. If you watched a lot of if you've seen a lot of older British like sketch shows and stuff like that, they would usually have like one, two, maybe four actors playing the whole cast, and actually they would often have them dressing as other races, and that was just acceptable. Like, it wasn't even a big thing, and I would argue that's different to what.
I have to push back on you on one point there. Little Britain isn't that fucking old. This is recent stuff.
I'm thinking.
As an Australian, we've got the same shit with people like Chris Lilly, although Chris Lilly's stuff is undoubtedly racist. Sorry, I've broken character here.
No, I was thinking of stuff like Chris Morris for Day to Day, things like that. But yeah, Little Britain's another example, and it did it a lot. I would argue that's separate to what's seen as the American blackface, where they were basically playing extreme racial caricatures. Although, interestingly, Little Britain's most extreme one was probably when they were playing like an East Asian woman, which actually is the one I'd say where they made like, they did go full on the racial character, and that seems to have gotten less pushback because, you know, we don't see it as such a big deal to like have a white guy pretending to be an East Asian woman. But yeah, I know I don't really have that much of an issue with
whiteface
it,
acceptable. Gotcha. Mooncake. What do you think?
I don't think whiteface is racist. I kind of feel like people use that just to mock blackface in a way. There's no like deep cultural issue surrounding someone doing a whiteface, and like really nobody dresses up as a white person and goes out and goes like makes fun of white people. like you just don't see that, right? But when people
I've seen it on my show, but go on.
Well, when people do blackface, you know there's something racial behind it, like there's something racist behind it, and it's usually done to mock black people. So, yeah, I don't think whiteface is racist.
Okay, we'll see how that goes for you. Neve, go ahead. Neve.
Yeah, when I think of whiteface, I think about lifeguards, people putting on, sunscreen, wrestlers, like pie in the face, but not at one point did I ever think that it would be racist. I think somebody brought up in your chat that Dave Chappelle did that, and it was funny. But no, I wouldn't necessarily think that it is racist whatsoever. I think that in the same kind of conversation that Mooncake just kind of said, like, it is this question is intended to draw like a false equivocation between this and blackface, in the same way that like All Lives Matter or whatever is done to make that like parallel to annoying movements we think is annoying. So
okay, thanks for your answer. We'll get into it. Rad, go ahead.
Now, whiteface and blackface can absolutely be racist, and in some instances it cannot be. Before I called out Tropic Thunder because that is an example of blackface that is a deconstruction of blackface to poke fun at the idea of doing blackface. Whiteface can be racist and cannot be racist, and a lot of the times when it's done racist, it's quite funny. Something can be racist and lampoon a dominant cultural or ethnic group good comedy for me usually punches up. So whiteface, yes, often racist, and I don't have a problem with that.
Noted.
Sorry, just to push back on thing. When can you name me one time like blackface has been funny? Like, could you
Tropic Thunder?
Tropic Thunder. That's the only one I have.
So okay, so
I think 𝕵𝖎𝖎. I'll give it to 𝕵𝖎𝖎.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it during the general.
Entire world.
We'll get into it during the open. I promise you. But do you not think? Nope. We gotta give Stardust first. But then I want to push back against Moon. Stardust, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think that it can be racist and it can also be funny. So like sometimes racism is funny. Like hot take. Sometimes racism is funny. But
like racism against the French, always funny.
Or racism against Italian people, that's always funny. But what I would say is I do agree that not necessarily. I think most instances of blackface are bad. They're done distastefully. But there's a great example in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They a couple of the characters do blackface, and it just ends up making them look like assholes rather than them like making caricatures of black people. Like the joke is that like, oh my god, how could you in your like right mind ever think that this was a good idea, and then like there's a shower scene where like some of the paint is like dripping down, and it's like it's ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But that being said, some one of the funniest jokes I remember hearing like growing up was from Russell Peters. He's like a Indian comedian, and he was talking about what happens if two people like South Asian and East Asian get married. Can you imagine the rice there? And then inviting your white friends, and your white friends start throwing rice, and then your parents get mad at you, and they're like, "See, you shouldn't have invited them. Now they're throwing the food everywhere." And so yeah, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it can be funny and it can be just tasteful, and sometimes you have to kind of like acknowledge, okay, maybe it was distasteful, but this person is not really meaning any harm with it, I guess. But yeah, I just think that's so funny, the idea of like, you have a bunch of rice at your wedding and white people come and they start throwing the rice because that's what white people do at weddings, whereas like everybody else eats the rice. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
So Moon, you don't think Tropic Thunder was funny?
I didn't like it, but
You didn't like it? Okay. What about, did you see the Sunny Always, because that's another good example, the Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Can you think of to take it away from blackface a little bit, just racism in general? Have you ever laughed at a racist joke?
Stardust is correct. Like racism can be funny.
What's the funniest racism to you? Go ahead.
What's the funniest racism? I don't even know.
What's the racism that you have laughed at the hardest? I'm curious. Go
ahead. Do you remember that Eddie Murphy special? I think it was definitely about white people.
You're gonna have to be more specific. There's been a lot of people making
Eddie
fun
Murphy doing. Do you guys
No,
remember
not Eddie Murphy. Sorry, Eddie. What was he? Did he pass away?
Eddie Murphy did do Yellowface though at one point, right? I'm pretty sure.
No, I'm thinking of not Eddie Murphy. Was it Eddie Griffin? Is that his name? You guys know who I'm talking about?
Describe it.
Logan, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, folks.
Yes.
I'm doing a panel at the moment.
Yes, you are, and you're not muted.
I'm going to keep doing the panel. Rock on KF Logan. Everyone follow him.
We're back to the favorite racism. You're describing your favorite racism, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah, it was one of Eddie Griffin's specials, and I think like he was just making fun of white people, like being like in the car with like a white
racism
person.
Against white people, funny. Okay, brave take, bold stance. What's your favorite white person joke? I'll give you the pass. You have the pass. For me.
Oh, you
Go
know
ahead.
what? That they smell like quarters when it rains.
Is that a thing people say?
Yeah, you heard that?
White people smell like quarters when it rains?
Yeah. Like
So
they
I'm
have
guessing coppery.
they have a distinct smell. I just always thought that one was hilarious.
I've literally never heard this. Chat, is this true? Is this true? Do white people smell like quarters when it rains? I have never heard that.
I always thought it was just the petrichor, but apparently I just smell fabulous.
Like we smell like money. Fair enough. I mean, I'll take
I
it.
have no idea where it's from.
Yeah. Okay.
Most funny white people jokes are like built on, I don't know, like the stupidest observations, but I mean when they hit, they hit. I think I saw okay, this is so stupid and specific, but I think I saw a tweet or whatever. It was like white people be like buying cereal boxes and like never rolling up the fucking thing, just like leaving it wide open. Like little stupid fucking shit like that. But again, it's so like non-discriminate that it doesn't hit the same way as like a Chappelle joke or, you know, that sort of area. So
But why is it okay, right? I understand the power dynamics, right? I get that. But I don't know. Why are we so okay with white people jokes, but not so okay with like Asian jokes or black jokes?
Okay, I actually had a conversation because Sunday I was running a comedy night and I had someone actually try and have this whole conversation with me. It was just me telling him over and over again, no, you're not going to get on the front page of the Sun if you do an Indian accent. Like, don't believe the hype. It's mostly just me saying, like, this thing's overblown. There aren't like people waiting all over the place to cancel you or record stuff. Don't worry about it, because you get these people who are really paranoid that if they say anything which upsets someone, there's gonna be this massive like backlash out of nowhere. And I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. Like, I've been doing this stuff for on and off for ages, and I've never gotten in any serious trouble. Like,
what's the most racist joke you've done, Joe?
Actually, I don't do a ton of racist jokes, so I guess that's part of it. But
not
no,
a ton, just a few.
Oh, shall I just do a bit of a stick right now? Okay.
Please.
So yeah, so you've been to Amsterdam. Oh, geez, this won't work because it's meant to be part of like a 7-minute story. But okay, let me just. It won't work very well, but whatever. I'll give you an example. So you've been to Amsterdam, right? Like, love it. Cycle paths all over the place. Can take my bike wherever. You know why I can't move there? I'm too British for Amsterdam. You know why? I'm cycling along one time. Some guy coming out his driveway knocks me off my bike. I fall on. I'm like, I get up. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. That's the most fucking British thing ever. Like, I get hit by a car and I apologise to the driver. That's what we should put as our immigration test. Like, when new people move into here, you know, we hit them with a car, and if they say sorry to the driver, they're in. That joke gets a little uncomfortable. I've got to be honest, I stole that joke from the UKIP manifesto, and that's basically just an example.
Stealing jokes, what a white thing to do. Okay, that's a very white thing to steal other people's
Well, I'm guessing you don't know what the
UKIP
manifesto is, because that's the bit which usually gets the strongest laugh.
I mean,
you got a chuckle out of me on that one.
I think that you know, I do think that like some racialized humor is acceptable, right? Harold and Kumar was something that had a ton of racialized humor in it. You know, with the stereotype of, you know, the Indian guy whose father is a doctor and wants him to be a doctor. And he could be a doctor, he's really talented, but he doesn't want to. There's the stereotype of the I forgot what ethnicity his parents, what he is. He's East Asian of some type. But the whole movie is filled with stereotypes, and then they get high and they ride like a tiger to White Castle, you know? I don't know. It's I think it can be funny. I think people maybe need to, this is another hot take. People maybe need to lighten up a little bit with some of it. Like, I don't really care too much about the thank you come again guy, unless people are actually using it to like be shitty to me, you know. I don't care about him existing. And I guess, I mean, also this might just be me having been like on the internet for too long and being just desensitized to everything. Like, you know, it's much funnier when I can like talk about like stereotypes, and I can talk about like things that other people do because of stereotypes, versus like, you know, there's a good portion of the internet where their only joke about me is that, you know, I'm a street shitter or whatever.
Mhm.
So, you know,
No,
you
I
kind of have to
completely
have
understand.
you have to have a
You need
sense
to
of
look
humor
at
for it.
intent, subtext, and execution to like determine. Like my favorite racist joke is stupid as fuck. What noise does a French chainsaw make?
I have heard a joke about a chainsaw making a noise, and it was not related to the
Yeah.
French. No, Stardust, I actually completely get. Like, I once got invited into just a Discord call where people were just watching like a games conference or something, and it was just unbearable. Like, they showed some game, and it was like some Indian presenter, and they were just screaming like street shitter, and it was just really obnoxious. Like, they weren't funny; they were just kind of being assholes. And
Yeah.
it's weird because these do tend to get quite diverse. Like, there was a comedy show I was at one time, and there was a comedian who actually upset a bunch of people, and he was like, I think he was like an Arabic guy, and most of his humor was either racial or gay jokes. Like, he started off with some jokes like, "Oh, London's so great, you know, you got your white people with their cheese, your Jamaicans with their weed, Chinese people with their tiny penises."
Oh my
I'm
God.
paraphrasing, but that's roughly
Yeah.
what it was. And then he moved on to a whole bit about some gay footballer, and how this gay footballer was like gang banging like all the rest of the team or something. And I have no idea. Like, I just
You know, White
remember.
Chicks
Yeah, that
is a
just
great
sounds like
movie.
mediocre humor.
Well, White Chicks was a great movie, right? And that was like straight up whiteface. I thought that was hilarious, you know. I forgot who the two actors were in it. I'm so bad with
The
names,
Wayne's
but
brothers.
yeah,
Yeah, the Wayne's brothers or whatever.
that was
Yeah.
super funny.
Okay, I've got a question to put to people.
Yeah.
Can people do X-face of their own ethnicity? Can a white person do whiteface? Can a black person do blackface?
Yes, but I've already said a white person can do blackface and a black guy can do. It's just context.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think like
No,
to
is it
make
okay?
fun
Like,
of your
is it
own.
doable? Can you
Yes, to make fun
like
of
there's
your
making
own.
fun of your own people?
To make like self-deprecating humor. That's what I consider it, right? So if I came on, for example, and I started making fun of white people, of hicks, of people who live in rural areas, and I play up the stereotypes, right? Like I get some corn or some wheat to like chew between my teeth, right? And I got like a straw hat, and I start doing an accent. Hell, hi,
Get your
gang,
sister
right?
cousin Bethany on.
Yeah, that's all, you know, talk about my sisters, right? My sister wives, right? I think that's funny. I think that's acceptable. I think that's great if you do it right. Just like anything else, you can do it to be funny or you can do it to be stupid. And
To be mean,
it really
yeah.
depends. Like here's my hot take. Racism is okay as long as it's funny. If you can make everyone laugh, you're golden. Okay?
I
But
think the
you got to
thing
be funny.
is,
So
what's funny ends up being very subjective a lot
true.
of the time. This is why I don't get. One time I did have a guy, he didn't actually perform at one of my things, but he basically asked to do a set in front of me. And it wasn't particularly strong, but like it was about transracial adoption. And like the punchline was him saying chink. And I just like politely said,
Okay, you
you,
can't say
you
that on
know,
my
if.
show though, okay?
Oh, sorry.
Right?
Okay.
Toss
I'm just
in.
saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm
Okay.
just that
We are on Twitch.
yeah,
At
we are
least
on
some
Twitch,
of us.
so
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
X with that.
sorry.
No, we can't do that. So
Okay.
Okay. So what I would say is that, you know, obviously, like if your purpose or if the delivery just seems kind of mean, it's just meant to be mean and degrading, then I think even if even if it's, you know, I don't know. I just feel like that's probably the line, and it's probably going to be subjective to a certain point. But
I
I don't know.
got accused of doing blackface when I came on your show, Stardust. You remember that?
Yeah, Wick was dressed up as like a puppy, right? I think, right? It
A
was
kitty.
puppy.
This one was
A
I
wolf.
did the puppy
Oh.
thing, but I dressed up as a calico cat, and most of my face was black.
Oh, you did.
Right?
Yeah.
For the calico cat. The cat ears, they had the kitty gloves and things, kitty paws. And someone was like, how dare you do blackface? And they try to make a thing of it. Do you think we've gone too far with that shit? Right? I think, I don't know.
You were doing cat face, and that is very racist to furries. How dare you?
It was the wildest thing to have someone unironically accuse me of that. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm just a kitty. I just want to be a cat. I don't know. Okay, but any other thoughts on the making fun of yourselves or anything like that?
I think people should be able to make fun of themselves. Russell Peters does it all the time. I think it's funny. So.
I think that we're at a point now with like racialized jokes and stuff where you know, me as like Latina person would recognize a lot of the stereotypes and probably laugh out of recognition in a lot of the racial jokes. But we'd never hear white people with the self-deprecating racial monolith, you know, that kind of humor. So in some sense, it's like kind of feels deserved on our end, where it's like, I don't know, not deserved, but there seems to be like a degree of self-awareness that is not there that exists within other races right now. And I think that were that to be there,
like for white people specifically?
Yeah, for white people.
Is that true?
So most of the white self-deprecation that I tend to see coming from bits of the left, lots of the liberal left, tends to be much more, oh God, my ethnic group has done horrible things to basically every other ethnic group on the planet. I'm going to be self-deprecating to signal that I am a good one. Please forgive me. I have my guilt. Assuage me of my guilt, which isn't really done in humor.
Where's the joke, though?
Yeah, that's just not funny.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
it's
but
not.
have you guys
it's
never
not something
seen?
that's done as humorousness. It's.
I see white people making fun of white cuisine all the time, like mayo and no spices. I see that all the time. I don't like
that comes up a lot.
Those are stolen black jokes, to be honest.
But I think that I think that maybe it's a little bit overdone with the like, oh God, you know, my white guilt thing. You know, I think it might be a little bit overdone. Like, at least be funny with it. You know, like be funny if you're gonna do that. You know, like. I don't know. And then like the whole thing, like, oh, my people have like subjugated people, you know, for such a long time in history. Like Muslims did that too. Muslims, you know, were pretty big colonizers for a good portion of history. You know, so I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, the Mongols did it too, you know. So I mean, yeah, recent history for sure is definitely more white people, but. Yeah.
Well, what matters to me is trying to make things better in the here and now. And, you know, in order to do that, you need to acknowledge that there were shitty things in the past and that those still have effects today. You all know the song and dance.
Yeah.
I think my stance is just that humour's very subjective. Like I said, there's this guy, he did all this stuff, all this humour, some people got offended, and I ended up chatting to him later on the train, and I was saying, hey, you know, it's actually interesting because I was just telling him, like, some people were a bit, like, put off, particularly to all the gay jokes you made. And he didn't seem concerned. But then I brought up a joke he made where he talked about how his ideal woman would basically be brainless. And I said, I thought you were going to do a joke about having sex with, like, a handicapped woman at that point. And he said, no, I would never touch that. Like, there's no way I would do humour like that. Which was interesting because his whole stick was just racist jokes and gay jokes. But he was like, no way, I'm not making a joke about having sex with a handicap. That's too far for me.
I don't think subjectiveness is tied to your ability to recognize a joke, right? So even if you don't think it's funny, you could still be like, that's a joke, right? So
I
don't
think
know.
the
It's
thing
still
is, like, for example, like my least favourite, like, online comedy figure would probably be Stone Toss, and that's just because his whole thing is just really very bland, very inoffensive, but white supremacist oriented kind of humor. It's like the least offensive version of that kind of thing, and that just annoys me because he gets away with it constantly because he doesn't use slurs, so people will give him like plausible deniability.
No, I think it's very
So-
racist. But honestly, you don't think Stone Toss is funny? Sometimes that shit is super funny.
I think he's occasionally.
Sometimes he works in a good gag, but
He can occasionally
like
do it, but-
his.
Go
Sorry,
on.
go on. I was just saying, sometimes he works in a good gag, but like for me at least, his like very overt like messaging and like, you know, what he's pushing kind of like overrides my ability to enjoy the occasional good gag
enough.
that he drops out.
See, here's the thing. I actually will enjoy, like, who's that, like, white supremacist cartoonist, like, who's, like, his name's, like, Watchman, White Man, like, these extremely gross racial caricatures. I at least find that stuff kind of amusing. Like, I'll admit, I get that gets a laugh
So
out of
Stone
me.
Toss
Stone
isn't
Toss-
racist enough.
Well, yeah,
for
you're
you.
British.
Yeah, Stone Toss,
What?
no, because it's like the most bland conservative humor possible, just with a like neo-Nazi sheen, which is
Okay, I think
Yeah.
we're kind of running the gamut on this one. Any final thoughts on whiteface, racial humor in general, anything like that?
I think the way that you're using the word, like your proximity to like what you would describe to be like white supremacist humor, it's just interesting to me because I mean, it may be because I'm brown, but I just haven't seemed to stumble across that having been on the internet for so long. But yeah.
You've never seen Stone Toss?
You've
on Twitter?
probably seen some Stone Toss comics being shared around. They're designed to appear very inoffensive on the surface of it, so they get shared by lots of normies.
If I just Googled Stone Toss comedy, would it come up?
You could probably find
Yeah,
it.
Stone Toss
probably.
comics.
One of the
Comics.
Yeah.
funniest ones that they have is it's a insufferable personality competition, and you have like vegans in one corner, and they're like being hyped up, like, yeah, vegans are, no one's more insufferable than vegans, ha ha ha. And then the guy looks over and he gets worried because in the other corner is bicyclists or something, right? I think that's funny, at least. It's funny to me.
Yeah, look, honestly, those are two groups that I see being complained about more than I actually see, you know, being shitty.
God, I literally
like
got
they're the
someone
fun punching
literally
bags.
I'm sorry, someone literally threw a fucking rock at me when I was cycling. Like, the shittiness of car drivers is unbelievable. The entitled cuntishness of those guys, I swear. But okay, Wick, fine. I will say Doug Stanhope has a really funny set about gang rape in India. I thought was hilarious. But yeah, I prefer my edgy stuff. I do not like Stone Toss.
Okay. No. Moon, what you got? You're thinking of something.
Kind of just similar to what I said earlier, but yeah, like I just think it can be funny if it's done properly. But I think most times, unfortunately, it's not done well. White Chicks, as Starter said, is a great movie. I would say that was done well. But I haven't seen anything considering blackface that has been done well recently. And yeah, I just think it's to mimic other races. Also, the joking about the India gang stuff, that's crazy. That, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I don't
a
know.
little
There's just some humor that like
There's no
that
accounting
I
for
will
British
understand.
taste.
Yeah, like that type of humor I just personally don't understand.
Okay, that's fair. Last question of the night, I think. Let's see. Cannibalism. Based or cringe?
Based.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm eating animal
If you
crackers
have someone's
right now.
permission, it's fine.
Okay.
Ba-dum-tush.
Based if permission. Nev, what do you think? Cannibalism, yes or no?
Definitely super cringe. Read an article about a guy who like fell off his bike or something, and I think he like lost one of his limbs, like an arm or leg. And then just for shits, he decided that he was going to like he got it back from whatever the surgical procedure, and he decided that he was going to like fry it up and make tacos. It's a fucking real story. I don't know, but yeah, the whole time reading that, I was kind of like, hey, someone stop this man! Like this is kind of fucked up, even for like
But
I
it's
don't
his
know. This
own
is super
limb.
weird. I didn't
Why
like
couldn't
that.
he? Oh, well, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that because that's different. Like,
Mhm.
okay, fair enough. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. Mooncake, based or cringe?
Super cringe. Yeah, like thing was saying, like I just think at what point do we say that like that is not okay? Let's not cross certain lines, right? I think what makes us human is definitely not eating each other. I think that would make us barbaric, and I think it's gross. And I would really hope we would not like allow that into society. Also, people can get so many diseases. Like, I think that's also something else to consider. And then you'd have probably the black market going up because people want to eat somebody's liver. I don't know. I just
Fair enough. Joe.
I'm against it for basically the same logic I lined out when we discussed pornography. I don't think consent matters at a certain point. There are points where socially I just don't think things should be encouraged.
And with that, we'll open it up. Okay, so we got based if consent, and then 3 people who are under no circumstances.
I think that in the context of like you're flying to a soccer tournament and you crash land in the middle of the Rockies and you don't have anything else to eat, that always seems to be acceptable,
Who
right?
do you choose how to
I think
eat in that situation? Out of curiosity, say we were on a plane, all of us together.
mhm.
We're flying.
Well, you
okay?
start with the dead ones first before the bodies
Yeah.
spoil.
No, all of us survived. All of us have relatively the same amount of injuries, right?
Mhm.
Who do you choose to eat first, Nev? Who
Can
are
I
you voting
volunteer
for?
myself? Because I know I'm gonna like die really quickly. Even though we're all like at the like normal, we're all at the same point at this point. I just know my survival instincts are so bad.
I'm not asking
I'm
you to
gonna be
volunteer.
dead.
Come on, you're ruining it, Stardust. You can
Okay, I'm
volunteer
sorry.
yourself, but I
Mhm.
want to know, Nev, sight unseen. Okay, you have to vote. No one wants to volunteer themselves. You have to choose which one of us gets eaten first.
Well,
Okay.
whoever's the most physically able should be considered not eaten. Whoever has like the most potential in life. Like I think you could start by subtracting people, but it would get pretty arbitrary at points. I think maybe what would be the best thing to do would be a good old-fashioned alligator fight, which actually takes place in the push-up position, and the other person is in the push-up position, and it's like you have to slap their arm so that the like shoulder will hit the ground, and yeah, whoever loses that
So
probably should get
you
eaten.
would have them fight, and the loser gets eaten. Okay, Mooncake.
Mhm.
Which one of us gets eaten?
Mm, I don't know. Whoever whoever would be like the person who freaks out the most. You know, like they panic easily.
The
'Cause
weakest
then like
mentally. Gotcha. Okay.
yeah. So
Holy
maybe
shit.
maybe
Okay.
Joe. I think I have to eat Joe
Joe
first.
first. Okay, Joe. What about you? Who
Um,
you eating first?
I would personally say we should start by removing individual bits before we start deciding to devour a whole person. Like we can see how far we can get on like individual digits before we start deciding to full on kill someone and eat them
A
whole.
finger ain't gonna feed 6 people, bro. Okay.
I do have a
I
question.
assume we're going to try and get back to civilization. I assume we're not just going to camp out and eat each other till one's left and then they starve.
We don't know this at the time, but as soon as we eat someone, like conveniently, that's when the help comes. But it doesn't come until we eat someone. Yeah.
So we've got to finish them all off.
I have a couple of questions
Please.
that will probably introduce a couple of things in here. Question number 1. This is from somebody in my chat actually. What about a woman eating the placenta, eating her own placenta that she passes? In some
I have heard
cultures,
that's
some
very
women
healthy.
yeah, so in some cultures, some women will when they pass the placenta, they'll take it home with them. They'll make like a stew out of it and they'll eat it because it has like a lot of nutrients in it. Is that cannibalism? Is that cringer based? Second question is, in this scenario with all of us trapped on this island, um, is it racist if we don't eat a person of color first? Or is it racist if we do eat a person of color first?
Oh my god. I
So,
love it. I
just
love
on
it.
the placenta note, perfectly fine, but also if you're cooking, try not to confuse placenta and polenta. The vegetarians get very upset.
Noted.
Okay.
Stardust, though, you were using this to dodge the question. Which one of us are you eating first?
Oh, I'm necking myself. Yeah, I'm necking myself so quickly. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, there would be three. Okay, Joe, I'm so sorry. Under that mask, I'm just gonna assume you're white. But there is three brown people and three white people, and unfortunately, I'm going to give you guys the benefit of the doubt and say you guys probably have the strength advantage. So I would suggest that we do a good old segregation. You guys do your thing, we do our thing, and then we will meet as warring tribes in the jungle, and whoever dies first is probably going to get eaten.
Oh.
So you suggest white men hunt down women of color.
No. Sorry, hunt down is using is doing a lot of lifting here. Okay.
Okay, but we meet in the jungle and fight to see
It's a
who
battle
gets
royale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Hunger Games?
Yes, I have.
Mm-hmm. With that, except a person of color wins.
You just want a competition. It sounds like, to see who wins.
Well, I would ideally want to survive, but I think the best prize in a competition would be you living. So I think I'd be pretty motivated to win there. Yeah.
Okay. Winners get to eat the losers. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I still need to give my solution to the initial question there.
Yes.
Volunteers first, then draw straws to set up a rotation for the removal of non-essential body parts, starting with non-dominant arms and breasts. Then move on from there until eventually people get eaten. The hardest part is when you run out of limbs to do the cooking with.
Okay,
I think you should
question.
probably take one of the kidneys first, right? Or was it liver? I don't know. One of the... Probably take the kidney first.
You probably need to figure out which one, right?
Yeah.
Before you start just removing it. Like, was it the kidney or the liver? I don't know. Let's go in and find out, right? I don't know. This is... I'm just saying, like, if I was in this situation, maybe this is a self-report. Maybe you guys are not going to like me. I'm not letting any of you eat me. I'm just going to be clear, right? If it's a survival situation, I'm not getting eaten.
Well, obviously
You will
not, Wick. You're all bones already.
It's true.
You're already dead. You're a
True.
skeleton.
It's true.
I mean, we could use some of that marrow for a nice stew, but that's about it.
Okay, what if we went on life lived? Like, okay, we would go, it would be very ageist, absolutely. But the potential to carry on your life, having gone through that, like, trauma, what kind of consideration would you make there?
The rescuers finally get there, and there's all these eaten corpses and a very bloated baby.
Yes.
My life experience, or my let me say this. In a life or death situation like that, where again we're trapped, especially with streamers, especially if it's other streamers, I don't give a shit about them. I will devour them. They are not real people to me. I don't give them...
We're missing the most important question. Do we have an internet connection, and can we monetize this for views?
Absolutely we can. Absolutely we can. We can let chat, gang. I should do a poll in my chat. Which one of us will be eaten first? Hold on. Give me a second. I'll make the poll.
Oh my god. Please do.
I mean, I'm easily the tastiest. I'm an animal cracker, so.
I'm so fucking bony. Please. You wouldn't like me.
I got some decent muscle on me, so I guess I might be quite edible.
Just
Okay,
eat
Joe,
me, chat.
Mooncake,
Eat me all up.
Radhom,
I'm scrumptious.
Stardust, and then Nev. Okay, we'll give this poll 2 minutes. You can vote with channel points, sure. Why not? Okay, vote in the poll, gang. Who's getting eaten? Who is getting eaten first? I am very curious what my chat has to say. If you're on YouTube, sorry, this chat's on Twitch, so head on over to my Twitch real quick and and vote there. I'll be able to see the
I don't-
results, but I can't see your comments right now. But go on.
You know what would be a really fair way to do this, to figure out how and who and when? We apply the totally non-biased rules of intersectionality to the equation.
Oh yeah? No.
Yeah.
I am going to be using my oppressive powers to make sure I don't get eaten. I'm just being honest with you all.
Hey, that's fair.
I think for my order of which ones of you get eaten first, I'm thinking Stardust goes first because she wants to. Right? I'm gonna honor her wishes.
I would rather die than eat somebody else. Yeah.
Noted.
So.
Stardust first. Nev, you're second. Sorry. Okay. Then Joe. Then Mooncake, and last and all, Radhom. Radhom's the most entertaining so far. So I want to be, and I feel like he would help me. I think that he would, assist me. But then I'd stab him in the back at the end, and we'd eat him. So yeah. Vote in the chat, gang. We got about 40 seconds
me
left.
up on the others first. Now, funnily enough, non-intersectional feminism would favor the women more here. Intersectional feminism recognizes that there are struggles that men face as well.
Fair enough, right?
But compared to who?
I need more.
In what context?
I'm just saying, women tend to have more.
Well,
fat
a
on them
lower
than
class
men.
man and an upper class woman, for example. They are facing different struggles, and you can absolutely have, so under intersectionality, like a wealthy white liberal woman is less oppressed than a poor black man.
Okay, my chat's weighed in. Stardust, I'm sorry, you're getting eaten first.
Or at least oppressed in different ways.
I would rather die than eat a human being.
Joe?
I would rather die.
Joe, you're second.
Okay.
Sorry.
I got like lots of thigh muscles. So
Radhom is third. And then it's a tie at the end between Mooncake and Nev for who gets eaten.
We fucking live. There we go. Intersectionality wins again.
Is that how that works? Okay, fair enough. Okay, gang. This has been.
That is just racist, refusing to eat two of the women of color until last. Racist chat. What, you think they'll taste worse?
I would say.
Tisk.
Wouldn't it be racist to eat us?
Wait.
Yeah.
Here, I actually have an example.
Yeah,
I think this is too complex
one
an
of the first
area.
ones getting eaten is me, so it cancels it out. It's fine.
Yes, I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my only argument. And the
just
true
on a
story.
redeem, so I'm playing with some orbs while we talk.
That is really fucking cool and distracting. But
Thank you.
The true story of Moby Dick, where it involved a lot of separate boats trying to find land, a lot of people of color and a lot of like white people stuck on the same boats, because the white people were, or the people of color were obviously cared less for in that circumstance. They ended up being the ones eaten first. So based on that completely, I think that you guys probably owe us one, and we're probably just going to eat you first.
One. Fair enough. No, that's not true. I owe you nothing. Okay, gang. We are reached the end of our Halloween special. It has been a wonderful journey. Gang, if you've liked this content, I want you to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube.
Like and subscribe!
If you're on Twitch.
I love lichen. It's like moss, but not.
If you're on Twitch or on Kick, hit that follow button. Gang, support your streamers.
If you don't follow Wick right now, I will show up in the middle of the night, and you will not like what I'm gonna do.
Would you get eaten? That's what we've already decided what would happen to you. You would get eaten. I
will start chopping limb from limb on myself, not on you.
Okay.
And you will have
I want to give all these people a chance to tell people who they are, show off their costume once more, and tell people where they can find them. And thanks for coming. This was necessary. We've done too much. Look, the world is full of horror right now. We have a lot of horrific things happening all across the globe, and it can be overwhelming. So I wanted to do something a little silly. And I thank you all for participating with me and coming through for this journey. And we're going to start with our friend, Joe.
Thanks, Wick. My name's Joe Brooks. You can find me on Twitter at 𝕲𝖎𝖙𝖚. and you can find me on YouTube just as Joe Brooks, 𝕼𝖎 at the end. Yeah, this is a costume. It was quite cheap to make. Probably cost less than 15 quid. You can find all the ingredients in Asda. Red lipstick for the blood. The mask is probably still available at your generic Asda. And here I am outside of it.
Oh, put it back on. Put the mask back on. Oh, God.
So I'll put it back on. Give me a
Ah,
sec.
he's doing whiteface.
Oh,
Just
I
no.
knew he wasn't black.
Yeah? What was your clue?
No.
Like shit.
What is he doing? I don't... Okay, we can't hear you anymore, buddy. Wonderful. Great. Check him out, gang. I don't know what's going on with that. Mooncake, what you got for us?
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was fun. I'm gonna go hand out candy. I basically just play Minecraft, so if you want to watch me play Minecraft, Sims, a little bit of League of Legends, just Mooncake XO. That's it.
Mooncake
Thanks.
XO. Check her out, gang. And thank you for coming here. It was a pleasure.
No problemo.
Nev, go ahead.
Hi, well, my name is 𝕼𝖎. I'm a variety streamer on YouTube and Kick currently. You can find me on just about any platform at 𝕼𝖎_. You put them together, and that's my username. And I also like to panel hop. You'll find me in some pretty fucking random places sometimes. So thanks for having me on today, Wick. Appreciate
No,
you.
thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I love the costume. Really, thank you for
Thank
coming.
you. So
Last
cozy.
minute edition, we have 𝕼𝖎𝖙. Thank you for being here. And honestly, I think I give you the victory for best dressed. I love the costume, dude. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's recycled from an old MCing character for a burlesque show. I'm 𝕼𝖎𝖙. I'm a lefty Australian political streamer. I'm a complete and utter nerd. I paint miniatures while covering politics and conspiracy theories. You can find me as real 𝕼𝖎𝖙 on Twitch and on Twitter and Blue Sky. Come hang out. Straight after this, it's like 11 a.m. for me, and I'm going to be doing spooky stories and creepypastas.
We'll raid
so if
into
you want
you
to just have like a chill, spooky time, come on over.
Okay, we'll raid into you. Can you drop, so I don't do a fail raid again, can you drop a link to
Yep.
where you actually are? In my chat, I think the shout out was given. So
I'll
we'll just do
message
that.
it. I'll message it to you on Discord.
Please. Okay, well, thanks for being here. And then last but certainly not least, first in my heart, first in my stomach, apparently, too. Stardust.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Stardust. I generally do politics, war coverage. People seem to really like the war coverage. War coverage. I do, deep dives into the dissident rights sphere. I do variety stuff, drama coverage, etc. So if you like those things, please come check me out. youtube.com/starduststreams. Or you can find all my links at links.fromstardust.net. I'm working on a video right now that should be out soonish. So
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks again for coming. I love the costume. Animal crackers are delicious. So thank you for being here, Stardust.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and with that, gang, I think we are done for the day. I am going to go do Halloween stuff, and I hope you all have a wonderful
I'm sorry, there's one important thing.
Oh, please.
Wick, can you shout yourself out for our audiences?
Certainly. My name, sirs and ladies and thempers, is Wick, and you can find me at twitch.tv/WhickTV or on YouTube, where most of my money comes from these days, youtube.com/@WhickTV. I do a wide variety of political and cultural topics. We've been talking a lot about the the Israel and the Palestinian conflict. Tomorrow we're going to have Lonerbox and Aristocracy on to talk about the conflict and about Hamas in general. Then on Thursday, we are having a panel with Brianna Wu, Counterpoints, and a few others that I can't remember right now. And that should be good as well. And it's going to be on progressives and if they have an anti-Semitism problem. So tune in, and we will see. The raid's off, and we'll see you guys later. Bye!